The waivers have run, your FAAB budget has been spent, and you are looking at the wreckage. But don't worry, today we are finding the hidden value in the players who were just dropped in your leagues. There's still some good finds that are out there. People make mistakes, and it's our job to punish them for it. So let's look at the waiver wire rebound this week.
Yeah.
All right, it is the waiver wire rebound. So each week, starting this new here on Couch Potato Diary, each week we look at some of the players who were dropped the most in fantasy football and see where we can still find some value out there. Then we're going to look at some of the post-waiver wire steals, guys who are still out there that would meet the qualifications for a waiver wire segment in 35% of leagues. So let's get into it. We will start with our most dropped kings that are out there. At quarterback, it's Matt Stafford, third most dropped quarterback on Yahoo. He has an opportunity against Jacksonville this week after a bit of a disappointing one against the Ravens. Jacksonville, the defense has kind of been a little bit all over the place, but they are a roster that you can kind of take advantage of. They've given up the 8th most points to quarterbacks in fantasy football. I know that Stafford burned a lot of people this week, and he's not necessarily a set it and forget it quarterback, but I still think this is a good matchup for him and one that he can take advantage of. Up next, at wide receiver, it's Keon Coleman, the third most dropped wide receiver in Yahoo. The Bills have the bye, and I know it was tough the last couple of weeks after a huge start to the season, but he still had 13 targets in the last 2 weeks, and I still think there's a talented dude in there, even though he's probably not going to reach the breakout that we thought he was going to have this year. This is a chance to maybe find a little bit of value for the back part of the season on the waiver wire. At running back, it's Michael Carter, second most dropped running back on Yahoo. He wasn't as much the main guy as the week before in Arizona, but he still had 9 carries and 5 targets. I do think that there is a bit of an overreaction happening here. So Michael Carter in that Arizona backfield, I think there's a bit of value in that spot. At tight end, it's Mason Taylor, the third most dropped tight end in Yahoo this week. He wasn't as much the main guy as a couple of weeks before, and we had him as a waiver wire target from last week, but he is still a big part of the offense with the Jets, whatever that may be. But this was a really, really bad offensive game for the Jets in the last one. I don't think that Taylor is someone you should just be casting aside. So I feel there's an overreaction here. I think that he is going to be a bit more of a consistent presence in this offense as the season rolls along. So those are the most dropped all-stars for your fantasy football lineup. Now, let's take a look at the post-waiver wire steals. Each week, didn't get to it this week, traveling, but we go through the waiver wire like a whole lot of other shows do and look at the players that you should be adding who are available in 35% of leagues. So now, after waiver wires run, we're still going to look at players that meet that criteria. And we start at quarterback. It is Bryce Young, 23% owned. He's got a matchup against the Jets defense that has struggled quite a bit. And I get they're not as good on the road, Carolina, as they have been at home, but he's still facing a subpar team, and I think there are still some opportunities ahead for Bryce Young. At wide receiver, it's Luther Burton III, 14% owned in Yahoo. It's a good matchup against the Saints, and the offense, numbers wise, it's starting to click a little bit. They are spreading the ball around a lot, but Burton, I think, has a skill set that can thrive in that sort of a situation, and it is a little bit boom or bust, but I think that there is a pretty good pivot here if you missed out on some of your other targets in fantasy, or if there's some late week injuries that you need to go after. Or Tez Johnson, 11% owned with Tampa Bay. They are getting a little bit healthier in the receiving room, but I still think he could put up a big play. He's had 7 targets in the last 2 weeks, so not amazing, but still, he has that big play potential that all he needs is one. So those are admittedly a bit more of the home run threat on the waiver wire this week, but still a couple of guys that I think could help you if you need just a home run swing here, or if you fall behind on Thursday and need to kind of bounce back. And at running back, Tyjae Spears, 29% owned. It's a tough matchup against the Patriots, but they fired the coach in Tennessee, and they are now looking to get this guy, I think, a few more looks and see what they have in everyone in this offense going forward in a time of transition again with the Tennessee Titans. So I think there is an opportunity for him to get some more volume Again, maybe not a plug and play this week, but someone that you can stash for a little bit later on in the season. And Bam Knight, 22% owned. I know we just talked about the other guy in the Arizona backfield in Michael Carter as someone who you can still go out and pick up, but Knight's going to get his as well. It's a timeshare. So is everywhere. So Knight, if he is healthy, is going to get his looks in that Arizona backfield. And then at tight end, it's Cade Otton at 26% owned. There are targets available in this offense, and the game against Detroit, I think, is going to be a shootout. So Otton can really help you if you missed out on some of your tight end targets on the waiver wire this week. Sometimes the waiver wire doesn't go the way that we want it to. Do not let a bad waiver wire ruin your week. There is always value to be found. Which one of these rebound players, whether it's the drops or the steals that are still out there, are some of the guys that you are targeting? Let me know in the comments. If you're scrounging the waiver wire here on Thursday or Friday, then you need to subscribe so we can help you out throughout the rest of the week as well. We're going to do this every week. A lot of fantasy football coverage on Couch Potato Diary on YouTube, or also in podcast form on Spotify and Apple. Just listen, or anywhere you get your podcast, just search Couch Potato Diary.